Very warm greetings to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. Welcome back from the long Easter break, one of those holidays that we all look forward to. You can be sure of many days of rest, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We are quite sure that you are very much refreshed and bubbling to go to work, just like Christina.
Hello viewers.
Before the Easter break, the National Economic Council held a two-day retreat on the economy, trying to find ways to get Nigeria out of the current predicament. Details from the two-day retreat are still coming in, but we are very sure that the outcome can only be good, good, and good. Of course, as you are aware, just as that two-day retreat was going on, the National Assembly was also holding a national roundtable on the economy.
So much is being done, all in a bid to get our dear country Nigeria out of the woods. You will recall that the 2016 Corporate Strategy Retreat of the FIRS, which was held on the 2nd of February, was pretty much on the same topic. The theme was optimizing non-oil tax revenue collection through compliance and enforcement.
Non-oil taxes, that seems to be the swan song, especially as oil is gradually losing its importance in the revenue basket of Nigeria. At the National Economic Council retreat, the executive chairman of the FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, was one of the speakers, one of the paper presenters, which underscores the importance of taxation in all we're talking about. And going back to the corporate strategy retreat of the FIRS, which was held in February, Mr. Victor Onyepa of KPMG Professional Services was one of the speakers, and we were impressed with his presentation and decided to have a full-length interview with him. We want to serve you on this episode excerpts from that interview, especially with regard to widening the tax base.
At the retreat, one of your suggestions was that increasing VAT or introducing new taxes was not the way out, but expanding the tax net. What are the inherent problems basically that we have now in this present system?
I suppose what, at the end of it is the fact that we have a very narrow tax base. Narrow in the sense that we as a country have been very used to relying on oil revenue to finance government. I haven't paid attention to tax. And so, it didn't really matter if people pay taxes or not. But the chicken, as they say, has come home to roost. We're now in a scenario where we have to look towards tax to be able to raise government revenue. And therefore, the problem is that over time, we haven't expanded the tax base. And therefore, there are very few companies that are captured for tax purposes that are looking to, in a sense, pay revenue that will support the entire country. And that isn't going to work.
Okay, so let's talk about expanding the VAT base. How can we do this?
Well, I think the VAT base and the tax base for even corporate tax purposes are pretty much, in a sense, the same, even though VAT is a bit more, goes more than just corporate tax, as we all know. The first is clearly how you can get more payers into the system. If I stay with corporates, because they tend to be the bigger payers, if I stay with corporates, the first would be to say, how can the FIRS liaise with maybe the CSC, the Corporate Affairs Commission, to be able to get information about companies registered in Nigeria and doing business in Nigeria? Because if you have that information, then you can track them. So in a sense, how do we get many more companies within the FIRS tax base? The second, obviously, would be to say, how do we even properly track those sorts of companies and VAT charges, etc.? And to my mind, that would talk to use of technology. For instance, in Nigeria today, we're moving more towards the era of cashless society. We're doing more on payment platforms, point of sales, etc. So can we have a model whereby at a point, every payment is made through a POS? The VAT is automatically captured and sent to the FIRS? It should be possible.
It should be. I think it's already working with some of the sectors in Nigeria. I think the airline sector is one. It's already working.
Yeah, the airline sector is one, but that's one way to look at it, because then you're going to be going sector by sector. The other way to look at it is to say, what platform are those payments made? The POS payment, it runs on a platform. So can we deal with whoever develop that platform. So that way, whether it's airways, whether it's entertainment industry, whether it is buying stuff from a supermarket, the moment a payment is made, 5% of that payment is VAT and automatically be swept up and remitted to the FIRS. So we have to kind of think out of the box and trying to deal with our current tax situation.
Welcome back. Sometime in the year 2015, the 7th National Assembly created the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service, giving the Federal Capital Territory its own revenue board. The superstructure, the architecture of that service is still being worked out, giving rise to questions from members of the tax-paying public within the Federal Capital Territory.
Some months back, Gazette was signed off establishing the Abuja Inland Revenue Service. We've had this issue where we have to pay tax for somebody based in Abuja, but there is no information about this body. So I don't know, is it already operating, or should we still continue paying taxes meant for Abuja to Federal Inland Revenue Service?
Now the FIRS and the FCT administration have come up with an interim solution to take care of the concerns of people like the gentleman who just spoke. We want to serve you a joint FIRS-FCT public notice just released in this regard. In furtherance of the collaboration between the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service towards instituting an enduring tax administration system at FCT, the two agencies agree as follows: that FIRS shall continue to administer the following taxes and levies in the Federal Capital Territory for and on behalf of the FCT IRS, pending the full operationalization of the FCT FIRS. A. Personal income tax, pay as you earn in respect of all individuals resident in FCT under employment in both public and private sectors. Direct assessment in respect of self-employed individuals and enterprises, Federal Capital Territory property tax, stamp duties in respect of individuals and enterprises resident in FCT, withholding tax in respect of individuals and enterprises resident in FCT, capital gain tax in respect of individuals and enterprises in the FCT. That for the payment of taxes listed in 1A to E above, such taxes will be collected and payable into relevant accounts of the FIRS at all designated banks. That tax clearance certificates, TCC, for taxes paid to FCT IRS since the commencement of the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service Act 2015 will be issued by the FIRS and will be binding as if were issued by the FCT IRS. By this notice, all taxpayers in various categories listed in 1A to E above are enjoined to take note of this joint statement. For additional information, please call any of the following telephone numbers: 080-65-175-711, 080-35-98-6666, 080-33-35-9108.
There you are. It's loud and clear. All taxes due to the Federal Capital Territory for now are still to be paid through the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The program is still Tax Matters, and we'll move on to our next story. The Joint Tax Board needs no introduction, but suffice it to say at this point that it comprises of the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, who is the Chairman, and all the Chairmen of the 36 state boards of internal revenue, as well as that of the Federal Capital Territory. There are also some statutory organizations represented on the board, like the Federal Road Safety Commission, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, the Nigerian Immigration Service, and a few more others. On Wednesday, the 9th of March 2016, 22 new chairmen of state boards of internal revenue were formally inducted into full membership of the Joint Tax Board. The program was presided over by the chairman of the Joint Tax Board, who is the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fowler.
This function that you are about to perform is the induction ceremony for JTB members. They are chairmen of respective state revenue boards who have recently been appointed to head the respective BIRS in their own states. And we have 22 of them to be inducted today, sir. The essence of the program is to ensure that JTB members that have just been appointed are familiar with the activities of the JTB and what you are expected to do whenever any decision is taken here in the JTB as regards the implementation. And also to ensure that you will continue the relationship between the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the state boards of internal revenue, which is very, very important.
At no time in history has the objective or the requirements of boards of internal revenue been more relevant. Presently, I've been told that only one state in Nigeria can meet its salary. The issue of the federal allocation is fast becoming a thing of the past. But we'll be lucky if oil can account for 15% of this year's revenue. Now, what that means to you and I, because even what the Federal Inland Revenue collects is still shared among 3 tiers of government. What we collect is shared between the federal government, state, and local government. So that means there's still a gap. And it's the expectation that each state board of internal revenue will step up and make up part of that gap. We in Federal Internal Revenue Service have stepped up and committed to increase revenue by at least 32 to 35%. And I think based on the cooperation that we do have now with all the state boards of internal revenue and us working actively together, we should be able to make that difference. This induction basically is to give you insight information, give you a history of the Joint Tax Board, and let you understand how it can impact your daily operations, and of course, help you meet your budget. This morning, we're a bit late because we had a courtesy call on the Inspector General of Police. He received us very warmly with all his DIGs, and there were certain issues that were taken at the Joint Tax Board, which we also placed before him, and I was very glad to note that he had acted on most of them. He also pledged the support of the Nigerian Police Force in all our actions. It is very sad that when they're ranking countries the ease of doing business, I don't think we have ever gone below 170 out of 189, if I'm right. There's some countries that are experiencing war, yet they say it's easier to do business in those countries than in Nigeria. So there's certainly something wrong. Part of the job of the Joint Tax Board is to make sure that we produce a conducive environment for business. And one of the issues that most investors talk about is the taxation system. But it's even gone a step further. Even our own Nigerian businessmen complain about tax administration. And some of these issues are not directly our faults, but we're expected to fix them. All these issues of illegal tax collectors, revenue collectors, illegal charges and all that, it is under our purview to make sure they do not exist in our state. It is our responsibility to make sure that no person who is not authorized by law to collect revenue on behalf of a state is active in that business. The Inspector General of Police gave his assurance that he will dismantle every illegal roadblock across Nigeria. And we're hoping that before the end of this year, if I was going to predict, at least Nigeria will be among the top 50 countries when it comes to the ranking of the ease of doing business. That is part of our responsibility. I am sure that with the changes that are going on, both at the federal government level and even at the state level, and even in the Joint Tax Board, that all of us working together will be able to bring about this change.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria, and the mantra is change. The wind of change is blowing all over Nigeria and beckons to you One sure way to respond is to perform your civic duty, pay your tax. With taxes, government generates revenue to fulfill its electoral promises, ensure regular power supply, provide good security, standard education, medical care, true total change. Individuals and corporations enjoy specific benefits, rights and privileges for paying taxes and avoid the consequences and penalties of not paying. Oil revenue is no longer sufficient to bring desired change, but your tax can. It pays to pay your tax. A message from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
3 papers were presented to prepare the participants for the onerous task ahead.
Whatever you do, your priority, which I'm sure most of you know, is the improvement of collection. Whatever you do, if you don't improve the collection, the person that has appointed you will discard you.
The Secretary of the Joint Task Board, Malam M.L. Abubakar, was also on hand to shed light on the workings of the Nigerian tax system. Just like the Joint Task Board, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria (CITN) needs no introduction. It is the only statutorily recognized body for the regulation of the taxation profession in Nigeria. As part of its numerous activities, the CITN organizes an annual tax conference. So far, 17 of such annual tax conferences have been held. Recently, Tax Matters played host to a 3-man delegation from the CITN.
Welcome to our guest corner today on Tax Matters. We have august visitors in the house today, all the way from the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN. First, I have Mr. Samuel Agbeluyi. He's the chairman of a forthcoming conference. That's why they are here anyway, to talk to us. And then we have Mr. Yemi Ladijobi. He's the secretary to the conference. And we have Mr. Gbola Bilewu. He is the assistant director, corporate services and marketing. You're welcome to Tax Matters, sir.
Thank you very much.
Why are you here?
We are here for the purpose of our forthcoming program called Annual Tax Conference, which has taken international dimension already. And the forthcoming one is the 18th in the series of conferences we'll be having, which is going to take place in Abuja between 11th and 14th of May 2016.
What should participants expect from this conference? I mean, this is the 18th edition. Why is this year's conference different?
It is different because we are, CITN is a dynamic professional institute, and we are in tune with what is going on in the country. I must tell you, we've been in this business for quite some time, creating awareness on contemporary issues on how Nigeria will stop depending on a mono-product economy. And we won't stop at that, so we have tried to make this an all-encompassing program. We'll be talking about various things, about how Nigeria can get out of the doldrum. We are focusing essentially on topics, technical papers, as to what we need to do to ensure that the policy makers listen and take appropriate decisions as to how they move the country away from a petrol economy to getting revenue from taxes. That is charting the path of alternative sources of revenue for government, which is what we've been doing over the years, but we are raising the bar this time around.
Okay. Mr. Ladijobi, you are the secretary, so how do people who are interested, how do they get to register for the conference?
Thank you very much. We have a website called www.citnevents.org. Okay. And on that website, both members and non-members of the institute can register for the conference. It's a very simple process. They click on whether they are members, non-members, or if they want to participate as a group. They click on it, and it's very, very user-friendly. They get a token sent to their phone, and they can pay either through the POS system on the website, or they can pay through the bank and then send the teller to the secretariat. It's a very simple process, yeah.
Okay, so now let's go straight to where is it taking place?
Okay. It's going to take place at the Nigerian Air Force Conference Center and Suites in Kado, Abuja.
Okay.
That's where the conference venue is. And the theme of the conference is fiscal challenges and opportunities of the Nigerian economy.
Okay. And from what time? How many days is it?
It's a 3-day conference. People will arrive on Wednesday, which is the arrival day. We usually welcome guests with a hospitality night on Wednesday, and registration takes place anytime from about 12 to about 5. And then we'll have a hospitality night to welcome guests. District societies of the Institute will usually perform a cultural display, light cocktails for people to get to know each other. The conference kicks off properly on Thursday from about 8:45 in the morning. And just like you said earlier, we'll be having panel sessions, we'll be having breakout sessions. It's going to be very engaging. And then it will end on Friday. That's the technical part.
Okay.
About 2-ish on Friday. And participants will now gather for the gala night on that same Friday.
Okay. Are we having anything spectacular this year? I mean, we know you always used to have Miss Tax. Then I think last year you had a tax competition. Are you having any of that this year as well?
We have a program that is called National Quiz Competition. We started with the 17th edition of the annual tax conference in Abuja last year, and we are continuing in that process. And we are expecting the Vice President of the country to come and deliver the lead paper, that's the physical challenges and opportunity of the Nigerian economy. While on that Thursday also, we are expecting the President of the country to declare the program open. That is that. But it is not about technical sessions all the way. We are also making our Ghana night this year a very unique one, where members can socialize. I mean, it's not sufficient to work 12 months in a year. There should be a time you take a break, indulge yourself a little bit, and socialize. And we are bringing in a juggernaut in the entertainment industry to come and play on that occasion. That is King Sunny Ade. We want to end the program on a fantastic note.
If I want to register as a participant, how much am I expected to pay? If I want to register as a group, if we are coming from the office as a group, are we giving any sort of discounts?
Ironically, if you had registered last week, I think that was Friday last week, you would have been entitled to a 5% discount. Although we have some people who were able to make use of that window of discount. So as from the 18th of March, we stopped giving discount. So subsequently, everybody that wants to register now, we have to register with them the full amount for the conference. Now we have different types of hotels. So it's in accordance to the hotel you decide to lodge in. That will determine the amount you pay for the conference. If you are intending to lodge in Sheraton Hotel, for instance, in classic suites, you will be paying 300,000 naira. Okay. If you are lodging in Sheraton Junior Suite, you'll be paying 400,000 naira. If you're lodging in Barcelona Hotel, you'll be paying 175,000 naira. If you're lodging in Chida Hotel, you'll be paying 170,000 naira. If you're lodging in Newton Park Hotel, you have to pay 200,000 naira. And we have Sandralia Hotel, and you'll be paying 230,000 naira. So it depends on the hotel. But generally, if you're not residing in any of the hotels, you want to be a non-resident participant, you'll be paying 85,000 naira.
Is it meal inclusive, transport to the venue?
Like you said, you have resident and non-resident. If you are resident, it's meal inclusive. If you are non-resident, the lunch during the program is every registered participant can benefit from that. We are picking them from the airport on the 11th of May. From the airport, whenever you arrive, the time will be specified on our website. After this time, we pick you from the airport to the conference center. And of course, we can't organize any conference of this magnitude this time and not be conscious of security. So that is one of the reasons why we have picked NAV Center. It is accessible from anywhere you are in Abuja, and your security is guaranteed.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Agbeli, Mr. Ladijobi, and Mr. Bileu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There you are, 18th Annual Tax Conference, 11th to 14th May 2016. All roads lead to Abuja. In the meantime, we enjoy you to continue to watch Tax Matters every week for information and education on taxation. From Christina,
Thank you for watching.
have a blessed week ahead.